So, Phil, I gotta ask. I mean, this is the biggest announcement we've ever had on the podcast. Seth Rogen coming to Call of Duty. Is this it? This is as good as it gets, right?
I guess. I mean, where do you go from chicken jockey on? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How do you get bigger than chicken jockey? I don't think you do.
No.
Sure. So Seth Rogen, I feel like he's just another line in a great series of things happening to games. But we've peaked with chicken jockey.
I see. So this is actually a little bit of a come down for you.
This is a little bit of a come down. You ever been in a theater when those kids are chicken jockeying? They're screaming. They're throwing popcorn.
I've just heard the horror stories.
It's like being in Vietnam and an orgy at the same time. It's amazing. And I mean war Vietnam. I don't mean just like kicking it in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, welcome everybody to the GGG Podcast, episode 75. Big milestone, 3/4 of the way to 100. Fantastic. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Phil. How are you doing this week, Phil?
I'm doing pretty good. I have been deep into Clair Obscur Expedition 33, where I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit further in the podcast.
Yes.
But outside of that, I haven't been playing much. Like Monster Hunter, I know I'm going to come back to it. There's the festival. I have not visited. And I played a little bit of Oblivion Remastered, but like, while it's a good game, and I think people are very excited about it, I do feel that it's aged a lot as I'm playing it.
Agreed.
Yeah, right? It's fun. It looks great. And it's like a well-designed game, but it's also a well-designed game from like 2002? 2003?
Yes, that sounds right. I remember Lord of the Rings, like it being the Lord of the Rings era. So early 2000s sounds about right. Yeah.
What have you been playing?
Similarly, so I finally broke the seal and resubscribed to Game Pass.
It's worth it.
So
worth
I mean, with Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered being available, those are the two games that I really wanted to play. Although I have to say, like, I was dumbfounded when I saw the file size for Oblivion Remastered. Like,
oh, I know, right?
Oh my, was it like 116 gigs?
It's too much. It's Call of Duty levels.
I know, and what it does is it gets me to a place of like, I think I need a third hard drive, so, which I probably do, but my motherboard doesn't have space for that, and then I get that, then it's a domino effect of like, oh, do I need a new motherboard? I need a new motherboard, so yeah, but I feel similarly, like, very impressive how Oblivion Remastered looks. Having a good time with it. It is showing its age. I think it's trending really well because there's a generation of people who never played Oblivion, and they're playing a much better version of it than when it came out. They're playing this Oblivion Skyrim hybrid that looks nice. But yeah, it's some good old fashioned fun. But there's some good old-fashioned Bethesda glitches still around in the game.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I had a problem with the Kvatch quest early in the game where it wasn't continuing, and I had to look it up. And then I had another problem where I was, like, trying to leave a building, and I would just get stuck in the loading screen. And so it's just... that, I'll be honest, it pisses me off. I am having fun with Oblivion Remastered, but it's like, it's remastered, and yet I'm still dealing with glitches. Like, why? Yeah. And that really reminds me of my original experience with Oblivion, which was just a glitchy, buggy mess. And, like, that was the big difference with when Skyrim came out. It's that there were bugs in Skyrim, but they were more like funny, goofy bugs, not game-breaking bugs. So
yeah, the mastered part of remastered is doing some heavy lifting, and by that I mean not being mastered. There are some like great glitches that are still in there. Like there's a part where one of the elves you speak to, I guess they didn't clip their VO, so they say a line and they go, "Oh wait, that wasn't it. Let me try it again." And then they say the line again. There's some cool exploits you can do that are like fresh out of the old game. But I think, as someone who's played Oblivion, went through the story, remember finishing it, I think there's just too much other good stuff to go back right now.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get very far, to be honest.
Same.
But yeah, aside from that, been playing some Marvel Rivals, just chugging along with the season, but really not taking competitive as seriously as like I reached Diamond League last season, and I'm like, that's good enough. I know what my height is when I try.
Let's see what next season has to hold. Like if it gets a little bit better, sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But we're going to get into the news, but before we do, if you haven't already liked and subscribed to our podcast on YouTube, please do so. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening to the audio only version of the GGG podcast over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, follow us over there as well. So major game release. This was last week, and I dropped the ball, and I didn't realize that this game was coming out last week. We're going to talk about it more for the main topic, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Phil and I have been playing it. Phil, I think you're a little bit deeper into it than I am. But
I wonder if I could see how many hours I've played of this game.
I've only played like 3, so that's it for me. I'm very much toward the beginning of the game. I think I just got my 3rd party member.
Okay.
So that's where I am.
I have played for 20... Oh, no.
What?
I thought it says 24 hours to beat. It doesn't show you how long you've played on Game Pass, which is...
interesting.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Indeed.
Microsoft keeps that information to itself. It's like, we're going to know. Like, you don't get to know.
This is not for you. I remember last week... Oh, sorry, I played 13.2 hours of Obscur. I remember last week we were talking about game releases, and I was like, oh, wait. Like, I think I dropped it in as a footnote. But we definitely didn't give it the time it deserves, because it is probably one of the best games I've played in a long time, especially one of the best turn-based RPGs I've played in a long time. Yes.
Oh, my God. I have been starving for a turn-based RPG. I think we're going to really get into it when we talk about it for the main topic, but the general spiel is like, it's a very good game. Everybody's rating it very highly. It really came out of nowhere. It's available on Game Pass. It's $50 if you buy it outright. The fact that Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox are in it, is like got some heavy hitter actors in there. So
I
phenomenal
can't tell if they put more like of those tracking dots on Charlie Cox, because out of all like the player characters in the game, he just looks a little bit more alive. Like he just looks a little bit more he's just a little bit more animated in a way that I'm like, did they spend extra money because it's Charlie Cox? Like, I get it.
Sure,
he's great. But yeah, no, loving all the characters, loving it feels like. And I never played the original Final Fantasy games. I was never 7, 10. But it definitely feels like that, where it is this new world that you're exploring and you're figuring out the rules of, and it's stylish and slick and unique. I think even in a way that Persona 5 is, they had the very like, wow, look at how this game's style is like exuding from it. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has... I feel like that in spades, but it also applies to the gameplay. So, really, really a big fan. Excited to be just like here enjoying this game with other people. It's like one of those games where I'm texting some of my buddies to see like how far they've gotten, so I can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Which in video games, I feel like, outside of Last of Us, God of War, rarely happens where I care about the story that much. So,
yeah.
Again, we'll talk more about it later, but.
All right. I'm excited to talk about it. So let's get through this news so we can continue to do so. All right, so some disappointing and weird news coming out of EA. So the Titanfall game that didn't exist, that did exist, that is going to get made, that wasn't going to get made. It is officially canceled, I guess.
Nice.
Because they fired the entire team, and they fired people on other teams as well. And so this is not just a game cancellation. This is a huge EA shakeup. They've fired a lot of people, or laid them off, I should say, and they are restructuring. So the only two games that we know from EA, aside from their sports department and whatnot, are Apex Legends. They're going to continue making content for that, working on Apex 2.0, and they are still working on Jedi Survivor 3, or the third iteration of that game. So I'm very happy to know that the Jedi game is still being worked on, and that's still going to go ahead, but very unclear what's going to happen with EA. We don't really know how this affects Dragon Age quite yet. So I guess we'll find out about that. But we already knew that lots of the Dragon Age Veilguard employees had been laid off previously. So that is very disappointing. They also got a new general manager. Let me see if I can pull up his name. Let's see. Say something about this while I find this manager's name, good sir.
Well, I read a little bit in this article, and it seems like they were going to make this new Titanfall game, and it was going to be an extraction shooter, which, again, we'll talk about another extraction shooter that is coming out soon. But it's one of those negative positives where they're canceling extraction shooter. That's probably a good thing, seeing as how that's like what everyone thought the new thing would be, like Battle Royale was for a minute. But it is also Titanfall, which is the one thing that I wanted Respawn actually to make. Respawn to make. I'll take Remedy making it. Somebody make a Titanfall game. But it's the one thing I wanted them to make for a while they've been focused on Apex Legends, which, is a great game. It's cool. I'm sure it's bringing them in money. But I want like a new entry into the Titanfall games. I want to pilot a Titan. I want all of that like cool parkour stuff back in a video game. That said, happy that they're doing Jedi Survivor 3 because those games rock, and it's like some legit good and fun Star Wars content that is new. Yeah.
I couldn't quite find his name, so I don't know if it's a CEO or the CEO or is different. So if I find that, I will unveil that information. But yeah, I'm having trouble finding it right now. But yeah, this is an interesting shakeup at Respawn. It's a little disappointing. I mean, I think that EA does need to mix things up and go in a different direction. I don't know that a Titanfall extraction shooter was the right direction necessarily. And with all of the other extraction shooters, as you hinted at, we're going to talk about Arc Raiders in a little bit, but also Marathon, which I think I talked about last week or the week before. It seems to be like the new trend we're heading in. There's a lot of people making extraction shooters right now, so we're going to see which one is the one that really is going to take off. So I don't know. It's weird, but I am, I'm sad for the people who got laid off, but hopeful that EA can try to get back on the train tracks of making good games again. But I really don't know what to expect from EA at this point.
Yeah, it's EA has kind of, they've gone from being the hero of games for a little bit when they first got their start making great sports games, and then kind of branched out to being one of the biggest villains in games. Dead Space 3 being one of their greatest casualties, and then Mass Effect, and buying all of these studios and then doing nothing with them or making terrible versions of their games. So, but EA has kind of, I feel like, been recuperating their image a little bit. The last Dragon Age game was pretty great. Jedi Survivors is wonderful. Apex is, despite my chagrin about it, a pretty active fan-based
Battle Royale.
Or Battle Royale. Like, it's got an active fan base that is playing it still. A lot of people still involved. But now they're kind of like in this weird limbo where, Dragon Age wasn't the hit they needed it to be. And, again, Hogwarts Legends was actually not them. I don't know why I thought it was them.
Yeah.
Did they make that, I don't think they made that Quidditch game because I remember back in the day they had a pretty great Quidditch game.
Yes. Yeah. All the Harry Potter stuff is Warner Brothers in-house.
It's Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Good for that. That said, I don't know what their zone is because they had Star Wars. They lost Star Wars. Mm-hmm. They're still making those games, but they lost the exclusive rights. So yeah, EA is in a kind of a tricky place, and I don't know if they're going to be around in the next 10 years, even as a big developer, when I feel like they were one of the major developers as little as 5 years ago. So
yeah. So I think we'll see what they do, but they need a new franchise. They need some new ideas, mix things up. Anthem 2, please.
Anthem, but it's good this time. Whoops.
All right, so moving right along. So we got some Borderlands 4 details today, and it got revealed that there's going to be a Sony State of Play the day after we are recording this. I couldn't record tomorrow, so we're just going to go ahead and write it out, and we'll talk about all the State of Play details next week for next episode. But apparently, it is going to completely revolve around Borderlands 4. That is going to
We probably don't need to talk about it then.
Yes. It's true. We did get a release date for Borderlands 4, and that is September 12th. It was supposed to come out a little bit later, but the release date got moved up. So September 12th this year, Borderlands 4 will be coming. So that's sort of exciting. I'm curious to see what kind of gameplay they show off, but I'll be honest, at this point, they got to really wow me to get me back on that Borderlands train, because I'm pretty tapped out on that franchise personally. So yeah,
if it's a gorgeous looking version of Borderlands, I could see it being fun. I just feel like Borderlands is kind of held back by their visual style, which also kind of dictates their comedic style and just how their gameplay takes place. I want something maybe a little bit, just a different tone from Borderlands would be great. I know Borderlands is kind of famous for its tone and its irreverence, but after a while, it's very floaty. Gun mechanics start to feel a bit old, and whatever different guns you get are just giving you different colored numbers that apply to weaknesses or whatever. It just starts to get tired within itself, and that is ignoring the fact this is the 4th Borderlands game. Not even really the 4th, most likely the 5th, 6th, 7th with all the tales of the Borderlands, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, the last Borderlands game, I really did enjoy, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I really had a great time with that game because I thought it kind of mixed it up where it's you can make your own custom character, you can multi-class and these, fantasy classes, so it did take a different spin on it, but it still suffered from what you were just talking about of here's a looter shooter, and this genre has been beaten to death over the last 15 years. It gets to the point of, like you're saying, it's just a bunch of color numbers, and I feel like it gets to a certain point that most of the game is a little mindless, except for the inventory management. Which is the part of the game that I like the least. It's the aspect of gameplay I don't want to do, and that's the thing you really got to think about. So
you're looking at 2 guns with just in game. You're imagining just looking at glasses and reading the stats on the gun, okay, fine, and chucking one.
Yeah, and then you chuck one, and then the one you decide to pick, you're I don't like the way this fires, and then it's too late. So anyway, we'll see what they release tomorrow. I'm curious to talk about it. But speaking of State of Play-esque news, surprisingly, last week, the day after we recorded, the Ghost of Yotei. We got a trailer for the new Ghost game, and it looked really good. Looked really, really good. What were your first impressions of this? Because this was really the first shot of extended gameplay we got in the game.
It feels like, when I'm looking at it, it feels like it honestly feels like a next-gen version of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Ghost of Tsushima had such a distinct art style that playing it kind of feels evergreen. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where there's just more happening on the screen. There's more, you could tell that there's more detail loaded in. You could see a little bit further. I don't know. That's just my impression of it. Looks amazing. I'm very excited to play this game. And if there was a state of play just about Ghost of Yotei, I would be so in. I would be watching it the entire way through.
Yeah.
As opposed to ignoring the Borderlands state of play.
Yeah, I'm curious why they didn't, mush these two things together. I guess maybe Sucker Punch was like, look, we got the trailer, but that's all we got. So,
I think Sucker Punch is almost like kind of like Insomniac and Naughty Dog, where they're just like, we write our own check at this point. We don't got to show you anything. Here's a release date. and Sony's like, 100%, we totally get it. We're hands off, do what you need to do.
Yeah. And speaking of that release date, October 2nd. So we got a release date for the game. Very excited that it's confirmed for this year. I know they said 2025, but now we have a date. Mm-hmm. So very happy about that.
I don't know when Borderlands was initially lined up for. I thought it might have been October or possibly November. But smart of them to get out of the way of this game.
Yes, indeed. I mean, crazy though that we're gonna get two, basically feudal Japan, samurai / ninja-esque games in the same year.
Female-led game.
Yeah. Crazy.
I'm excited for it. I think it's, playing through Assassin's Creed Shadows, definitely a fun game. Definitely pretty cool. They go in depth for a lot of stuff, but what I am really missing is just the style and presentation of the Ghost games. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to play this one. Main character looks dope. Voiced by Erika Ishii, who huge fan of their work. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Like what you were talking about at the beginning with the engine and how things look. It looks very much like the same engine as Ghost of Tsushima, but a little bit crisper. And it definitely feels like this was God of War 2018 to God of War Ragnarok kind of an improvement. You get a dog, you get a wolf companion the whole game. Yeah, and different kinds of weapons as opposed to just fighting with the sword. Of course, in Ghost of Tsushima, you had lots of tools and different bows and stuff like that you could use, but pretty much you were always fighting with your sword. So it's interesting to see she can fight with a spear, and she has a variety of different things she can do. And so I am really excited for the diversity of gameplay that we're going to get. And for me, when it comes to Sony's trilogies, the second one is always usually the best. With the Uncharted series, with the God of War series in both the old and the new. I just feel like they've laid out the foundation of having that first intellectual property release, and now they're like, okay, how can we get into the weeds and make this better? And so I'm really excited for the gameplay, because that's the thing that was so satisfying in Ghost of Tsushima. So.
The swordplay in that game. You know what I will say? There is a lot of similarities between the stories of this game and Assassin's Creed Shadows. It seems to be that you're getting revenge on a group of people who had to do with killing your family.
Yes.
Which is exactly what's happening in Assassin's Creed Shadows. What? This trailer just popped up in the while I paused that video. Do you remember the movie Now You See Me? This is a tangent, so you could skip possibly a minute ahead in the podcast if you're listening. But you remember the movie Now You See Me? It was about a magic heist.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then they had the movie Now You See Me 2, which always made me very upset because I felt like the subtitle should have been Now You Don't. there is a third Now You See Me film, and they have rectified their issue. It's called Now You See Me, Now You Don't. That's Sony. That's Sony Pictures, and Sony, do more of this. Do less Spider-Man movies, please. Give the rights back.
Oh,
nobody wants to see you do that. All right.
I mean, they're still working on the animation from the Miles Morales. It's gonna take forever. I heard it was delayed again.
I think it's 2027 now, which is insane.
God. Yeah, but
we might get GTA 6 before we get the third one of these.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's really good, so it'll make up for it. Hopefully. All right, but let's get into talking some Arc Raiders. We have an early access playtest that's starting on April 30th. Are you getting in on this, Phil? You added Arc Raiders to the news. What do we got cooking over here? Another extraction shooter? Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's another extraction shooter, but so I remember like when this game was first advertised. Like I saw like TikToks about it where they were saying like, oh, this game is kind of like Helldivers, and that's I just said that before the show. We were talking about this game. I think that is a little bit the case because you're working in a squad, you're trying to get a mission done. There's the extraction shooter element of it, which is never really my cup of tea because you do a bunch of stuff and then you get murdered by some Adderall-ridden 12-year-old.
Yep.
But the style of the game, like this weird post-apocalypse, like 80s vaporwave style, looks right up my alley. So I'm definitely down to give it a shot. I have the Steam wish list. Like I want to be in the game test for it. So if I get to play it, I will let you know.
Okay.
But they do have an extended play test. However, no specific release date yet. So bit of a bummer there. You've seen some of this game. How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the genre is not really my cup of tea. Like I like The Division is probably the most experience I have with an extraction shooter, and that's not even the core gameplay loop in The Division. It's just kind of one of the core meta things that you can do at the end of the game. And so I liked dipping my toes into that, but a lot of The Division is just fighting against NPCs and bots and whatnot. So I don't know. I think this game, Marathon, and all these other extraction shooters, like I really think there's going to be one king that comes out on top. And it's probably going to have a lot to do with what visual style and gameplay loop people like the most. Do you like the third-person, over-the-shoulder look? Like, this game really looks like the free-to-play game Once Human to me. But obviously more oriented in the extraction shooter gameplay loop of it. Marathon... I think the gameplay loop of like Halo and Destiny, the gameplay's got to feel really good. I don't know that people are like crazy about how Marathon looks. Like it looks really smooth and sleek, but I don't know that it's a visual. And this is an art style that I'm seeing a lot more of. You talked about like Arc Raiders art style. I think this is a new art style wave that's coming into the gaming industry and in media in general. It's like, look at Intergalactic at Naughty Dog. They're going back to the 80s. Everybody's going back to the 80s. Everything's big, flashy, rainbow colors and neon, and that's what they're going. It's like this Blade Runner aesthetic, sort of, kind of. So I really think it's going to come down to, if the gameplay loop is good, what does the game look like visually? That's the game that players are going to gravitate toward. And I know that that's a little reductive, but I think, unfortunately, that's how things are. I
feel like this game is going to be like Helldivers. When we played that game, they're like, oh, Starship Troopers game. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you play it a little bit, and you're like, oh, I'm going to check out these robots. And then you're like, what the hell? This is Terminator? I'm fighting Terminator robots? And now there's zombies in it. I feel like this game is sort of like, at least the enemies and that sort of feel, it might be something kind of similar to the enemies are like these weird robots,
right?
Almost like as if Y2K robots took over, like things that look like a toaster, like not necessarily humanoid. So I don't know. It depends on what the game has to offer, and I think the kind of what you're saying. If the visual style's there, if they have enough content to keep you coming back, because I don't think anything's going toe to toe with Helldivers in terms of what they offer, gameplay wise and enemy variety and difficulty. Like, yeah, I think this is just a new flavor that will probably grab people for a little while, but I don't think it'll have like as full of a hold.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'm excited to. I'll probably play it if I can get into the playtest, and you let me know if you do as well, or you can give out a code or something like that. That would be nice
for sure.
Because I would like to try it, but I am hesitant solely because there are so many other good games out right now, and I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need this at this moment.
Well, talking about other good games that are out, have you considered playing a game that's several years old, but at 60 frames a second?
No.
Well, good news. Now you can play Far Cry 4 at 60 frames a second on PlayStation 4. This game came out in 2014. This is the Pagan Min Far Cry. This is the one where you're in
Thailand.
I don't even know. You're in Thailand.
I think so.
Or a fictional version of Thailand?
Yes, I think it's a made-up country near Thailand, very remote in the mountains, as Far Cry does. Yeah.
And Far Cry games always look pretty good. Far Cry 4... Far Cry 3 was the one that reinvented what Far Cry games are.
Yeah, Far Cry 3, I think, is a classic. Like, you and I have crapped on the Far Cry series, many times on this podcast. Make no mistake about it, Far Cry 3 was an incredible game and really did a lot of things that video games had not done up until that point, and then did them very, very well. It's like probably one of the best open world games ever, I think, Far Cry 3. And Far Cry 4, I also thought Far Cry 4 was good, but it was really just trying to we want to do Far Cry 3 again. And it's like, okay, but you didn't do anything original this time. You just wrote a different story and put it on a different map. So, yeah.
And then Far Cry 5 was the same thing. And then Far Cry 6 was terrible.
Just kept regurgitating. But yeah, why? Who cares? Like, if I really love Far Cry 4 that much, I'm playing it on a PC where I don't have to worry about, the PS4 has got this, frame rate cap. But I don't know. Are you happy about this?
I just have a conspiracy theory about it, that if they're doing this, it means that they're probably interested in revisiting the Far Cry franchise a little bit. Or they were, I feel like there's lots of, conversely, there's lots of footage of this game I've seen lately. And I can identify almost immediately, like, oh, that's Far Cry 4. Like, I know the rope swinging, I know the little helicopter thing. Interesting. Yeah. So I don't know if they're doing it because there's renewed interest in the game because of, TikTok picking it up and running with it, or they are getting ready for another Far Cry. And this would honestly, if they went back to Far Cry 4 and that setting, I would be pretty interested to see what they had to do. But, it is Far Cry, so kind of boring at this point. Although I will say, Far Cry Primal, pretty cool game. Plays a caveman.
I did play that game. It was very, very unique. And I think I got most of the way through it. I didn't finish it for whatever reason.
Because it's Far Cry. It gets boring pretty quickly.
It's boring after a certain point.
After you spear your last rhino or whatever, you're like, all right, I'm done.
Yep.
But with that, should we talk about the main topic?
Yeah.
Is it time?
Yeah, it's finally time. We're talking about the main topic. And this week's main topic, we're talking early Game of the Year contenders. We're still in April, technically, when we're recording this. And we already have some Game of the Year nominees, probably. As Phil and I talked about, We have been playing Clair Obscur's Expedition 33, but we're not only going to talk about that, we're also going to talk about a little game called The Blue Prince. That has been it released earlier this month. I think it was April 10th or April 11th it came out, and it has been getting phenomenal reviews. Both of these games, I believe, have 92s on Metacritic, highest rated games this year. For reference point, I believe Oblivion Remastered has an 82 on Metacritic right now. So yeah, both of these games, amazing. My partner just beat Blueprints maybe 30, 45 minutes ago before we were recording this. She absolutely loves it. And for people who don't know what it is, let's talk about that one first, because we've played Expedition 33 a lot more, so we're going to be able to talk about that. But yeah, Blueprints, it's essentially, it's a puzzle game, sort of. A very unique puzzle game, roguelike, where you're building this mansion that you're journeying through, and it's kind of about like managing you have a certain amount of steps, so a certain amount of rooms that you can go into, but essentially you go up to a door and you have to roll the dice, and you see what rooms are accessible to go into through this doorway. You're like, oh, I'm going to go into the kitchen, or I'm going to go into the drawing room, and it's like, how many doors connect to that room, and how are you able to build out this mansion on your blueprints that you see in the menu? And so it's really unique in how it delivers its story as well. I've heard fantastic things. I'm definitely going to play through this game because I think it's serious business. This Blueprints game. What have you? I know you haven't had a chance to play it, Phil, but have you had any general impressions?
I did play probably about 10 minutes of it. I booted up on the old PC, and I started walking around, and I saw the house in front of me, and then I was like, but this is a puzzle game. I'm going to the right. And I walked to the right for a while, and you're pretty slow. And then I think I had to go somewhere, so I stopped playing, and I would love to come back to Blueprints. I think from what I have heard, if you liked Myst, you're going to love this game. Mm-hmm. And I was not old enough for Myst. I haven't gone back to try it out, but I'm interested to see like what the puzzle mechanics are. I love a good roguelike. I don't know. I've just heard really good things about it, but I also kind of want to go in a little blind. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And not to say we can't talk about it, but I'm just saying like I have not sought out information about it because I'm like, from what I understand, this game is just like you got to get in there and start figuring things out. And one of my favorite games of all time, Binding of Isaac, is a lot like that, where you're going in, you're finding out what things do, and you become better at the game versus like just leveling up,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's fine. We can leave it there because we really haven't had enough time with it to dig into the details. I'm gonna try and start it this week, so maybe I can talk about it in our little opening segment for next week. But I just wanted to make our listeners aware that there are some top tier games that have come out this year already, and if you're a serious gamer, it's like back in the day when The Walking Dead game came out, like the original what's that company who does that?
Telltale.
Yeah, Telltale. Like that original game, like I watched the trailer and I was like, I don't want to play that, and then it won Game of the Year, and I was like, well, I mean, I gotta play it now because it's Game of the Year, and I played it and I had an amazing time. So we're ringing the bell. We're letting you know, Blueprints. Take it seriously.
Check this thing out.
Check it out. But yeah, let's get into Expedition 33. We mentioned earlier it's turn-based RPG, a very Final Fantasy-esque, but not by the Final Fantasy people. And what I love most about this is I'm not stepping in to a Final Fantasy universe where I'm looking for all these Easter eggs and how things are connected, except it's a different story, but sometimes they're connected and sometimes they're not. And it's just a fresh story that I can be onboarded on. I played for 3 hours this morning. I have to say, like I do have one minor complaint to get out of the way before I get into everything else that I really like about it, and that is especially in the opening hour, there's a lot of like talking and onboarding and whatnot, which is necessary to get out some of the exposition.
It's funny that is exact. Whenever I type exposition or Expedition 33, my phone's always like, "Did you mean exposition?" I'm like, "No." No.
But I have to say that not in the really fully rendered cutscenes, the animation and the lip syncing of characters is not very good. Like you were saying, like maybe for the main character that Charlie Cox plays, maybe they spent a little bit more time on him and not so much time on everybody else. But the animation still feels very awkward in like the minor cutscenes where it's like I'm holding a wine glass, but I'm holding it like this. Even if it's empty, it's like people don't hold glasses like that. That's just a weird. You just forgot to animate the wrist turning back around, or stuff like that. So there is some weird animation stuff there that I think is probably the only drawback for me so far. But the exploration is fun. The turn-based combat is really cool. The parrying and the dodging and the jumping, it's like that's a way to make the game active, and it feels so awesome when you're like you're backpedaling and you're losing a fight and you're like, oh, if I take one more hit and I can't get the parry timing down, and then you do it and you counter and you finish and you beat some big dude or whatever. I love the aesthetic. I am so in. I want to keep playing this game so bad. How are you liking it, Phil? You're much deeper into it than I am.
I'm far into the Expedition, and I have to say it is one of my favorite games that I played in a while. I used to love turn-based RPGs growing up. I played like Gradius, I played Skies of Arcadia, a lot of like these old Sega Dreamcast like turn-based games, really getting attached to the characters, and that's because I didn't have Final Fantasy. And I have to say, like, Final Fantasy, like you were saying, it's intimidating. And another tangent, skip 30 seconds if you want. I play a lot of Magic the Gathering. There's a Final Fantasy set coming out, and I'm just so done with it. I'm like, I don't want to hear about Final Fantasy. I'm sick of Final Fantasy. I'm sick of the weeb tax invading all of my nerddom. So this game that is like a fully fleshed RPG with a very emotional story, it kind of hits all the right buttons for me of like, it's taking itself seriously, but it's also having fun. Like the world setting that you're in is grim and dark, and still there are moments of levity in the game, and even like entire characters that you meet that kind of turn the pacing of how the story is going just on its head in a second. The combat feels great. The parry system is really, really good. It feels sometimes a bit unfair, but like you were saying, if you punch above your weight class and take down something really, really powerful
really
with
satisfying.
Feels amazing. Even dodging feels good. That contributes to, like, if you do a perfect dodge, you get an action point, which means on your turn you could do a bigger spell or ability, and each of the different characters has a different fighting mechanic that only applies to them, and it's how they boost their abilities. So the game becomes really deep and integrated, and like you can build out your character to do one very specific thing and like make your characters work really well as a team. All this to say, this is definitely one of my game of the years right now. I think for me it's the game of the year until I play something better than it.
Sure.
Ghost of Yotei is coming out this year, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But this is
Assassin's Creed
unrivaled.
Shadows not even in contention.
No, it's not anywhere close. Because Monster Hunt, it goes Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33, a little ways down, Monster Hunter, then maybe Blueprints. That's where I'm leaving space for Blueprints. And then pretty far down, we go Assassin's Creed. I have to leave space for Repo. I'm going to purchase Repo. I want to play that.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I'll play with you if you want.
and then Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be like way down here when it comes out.
Sure. Of course it is.
If it comes out this year, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe.
Is there anything else for you this year that's... do you want to talk more about Expedition 33? Because I know...
I just wanted to touch, like, people are saying, like, the parrying and the dodging timing is difficult. And, like, let's be honest, it is. It is difficult. But I think that's the kind of thing that makes it a little bit more satisfying. Because it wouldn't be fair, like, gameplay-wise, if you could just parry or dodge everything that an enemy throws at you. So I think the fact that they did make the timing a little difficult, I think in most games, parry timing is like slightly before you get attacked. Whereas in this game, it's like really right as the attack hits. And
moment of impact.
Yeah. And so you really, and the monsters will, switch up their animations. And so you have to learn their animations and whatnot. You
even fight some monsters that will like fake attack, and so you have to like it makes you very engaged with the combat for a turn-based RPG. That is such a rare thing. It feels like a Dark Souls game, and I think like I haven't heard anybody say this, thank God, that it is the Dark Souls of turn-based RPGs, because it has like the same weird
the camp mechanic kind of a thing.
The camp mechanic, and there is a giant lady who paints a number on a pillar in the distance and then erases that, and then everybody dies that's of a certain age.
Yeah.
But it definitely like really makes you pay attention to, oh, I know how this guy fights, I know where his weak spot is, and I know how to counter him. And paying attention to those things just makes you appreciate the character design. It makes you appreciate how the combat works. Yeah. It's so far it's really, really good. And I'm like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm still interested by the story. I think that the moment to moment writing is good. It just doesn't feel like your classic like Japanese RPG where the dialogue is kind of like what are we actually talking about, and like the characters are like really reacting to what's happening, as opposed to being like, I'm just going to be stoic because we must stay strong and fight together. And it's like, it's fun to see characters go through adversity and panic and like I think like this tangent 20 seconds like I saw a clip from like Iron Man 3 the other day randomly, and I was like, God, I forgot how good a movie Iron Man 3 was. Whereas most of the other, like, by the time you get to the third movie, you're like, what else is there to do here? Like, I felt that way about Guardians 3, unfortunately. I know that a lot of other people liked it, but like yes, I know we can argue about that later. but like, you see like Tony Stark, having anxiety attacks and stuff like that. And so seeing those characters not just be like these cardboard cutout two-dimensional characters is really refreshing in like a turn-based RPG. And so I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to play it more. But what was the question you were or what are the other games I'm looking forward to this year? Yeah. Or what are the other games that have so far come out that have made kind of, I guess this year, that have made an impact on you in Game of the Year considerations?
I mean, not really a lot this year. I think like there have been some decent releases, but nothing has really like, oh, this could be a Game of the Year. Like, if I think about just the games that I have been playing this year, they're games that have come out other years. Like I still play Helldivers. Came out last year. I'm still playing Marvel Rivals. Came out last year. I'm still playing The Finals. Came out 2 years ago. I'm playing Valheim again. That came out like in 2020 or something. I'm playing Frostpunk 2. That came out last year. And so I really haven't, played anything this year that I would consider Game of the Year, which for me, for it to be a Game of the Year contender, you got to be a 9 or a 10. On my personal Paul scale. So like games that I am excited for in the future that are coming out, it's like I'm really excited for Doom: The Dark Ages. I don't think it'll be a Game of the Year nominee. I just think personally I'm really excited for it. I'm not even like a really like gory heavy metal kind of fan, but something about the Doom games, the gameplay, how good it is, I just really love it, and I'm looking forward to how satisfying that game's going to be. I'm looking.
I think it's going to be a game of the hell, yeah.
Whoa. Maybe it's like up for best shooter or something like that for the year, something like that. I'm excited for the Dune game as a survival online crafting game, but not going to be a game of the year contender. Ghost of Yotei, very well could be. I don't know yet. Borderlands 4, probably not.
Watch that game be just so amazing and makes all of us cry.
Borderlands 4.
Yeah, it's game of the year. I hate to say it, everyone, but it's game of the year.
Yeah, that's a good Paul impression. It's pretty, yeah.
That's, yeah. Oh, it's me, Paul, bro. It's game of the year, bro.
I do say bro a lot.
Yeah. This podcast is littered with them. You guys don't know how many he edits out.
Yeah, it's extensive.
Just like all of my gases escaping my body. I think I'm in the same boat with you where nothing feels like it was groundbreaking. Even Ghost of Yotei will suffer this issue of we've had Ghost of Tsushima, and there's like a high bar which we are grading the game against, which is not necessarily anything that I would say sequels are always worse or anything like that. It's just we are pitting it against something else that we already have fond memories of. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a really unique place where it is out of the blue, jaw-droppingly good, and it makes me feel like when I watched my cousin play Final Fantasy X and how he was so engrossed in it, but I wasn't with him all the time, so I was watching him play bits.
Right.
It's like, okay, this has got a unique style, and it's you care about the characters, probably better written, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So
we'll
the weebs will come after you. So don't say anything.
They're gonna get. You know what? Bring on your katanas, my friends. Put on your bowler caps and milady me to death. Let's go.
I think it's hilarious that as a Magic the Gathering fan, you are at war with weebs.
This is where we rank. Actually, so Magic the Gathering, it is. There are cards that are like. I got one of these out of a pack. It is like a 10-cent card called Llanowar Elves, but they released one with 3 anime girls on it, and it sold for $150. Weebs are powerful. They have a lot of money.
I think sex is powerful. I think that's what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, we are out of time for this week's podcast, episode 75 of the GGG Podcast. We were super excited to talk about Expedition 33. If you haven't checked it out or checked out Blueprints and you really want to, please go check it out. Check out those games. We're going to be back next week. It's going to be May next week. Oh my goodness gracious. I am excited.
Did you just say the meme?
I did. It's going to be May.
It's currently May is what I'll say. All May.
Ooh, does Cinco de Mayo fall on the day that we're recording? No.
It's Monday, so We'll be hungover.
Okay, yes. We will be hungover for the podcast. Special hungover edition for episode 76. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, any more crumbs, Phil? Anything to leave us with?
We should see if we can cross-brand episode 76 with Fallout 76. They are probably looking for promotion. Actually, there is one thing that I keep seeing on Steam, and I do want to try at some point. Have you heard of this Schedule 1 game?
I have heard of it. I really don't know anything about it, though.
You play as a drug dealer. That is the game.
Okay.
But it is a sim. It has got overwhelmingly positive reviews out of 135,890. So 136,000 reviews, pretty much. Overwhelmingly positive. It's got a very unique art style that seems kind of like South Park-y.
Okay.
But it's fully 3D rendered. And apparently it's incredible. I think it was made by like one person. It's in early access right now, and it's $20. So if you are listening to this and you play Schedule 1, comment about how you like that game. I know with our broad base of listeners. We gotta have some skills in one place. But yeah, that's something that I definitely. You know what? There's a free sample. I'm downloading it right now.
There you go.
Doing it.
There you go.
I will report back.
Please, and tell us while we're hungover. It's going to be great. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening to episode 75 of the GGG Podcast. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It really helps us out. And you're listening to the audio-only version of the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or somewhere else. Follow us over there as well. We appreciate it. Until next week, peace out, everyone.
Peace.